Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. So, what's wrong with work? It's a big question these days. There's a lot more unfilled job openings than there are people unemployed. In fact, in today's JOLTS release from the Labor Department, job openings did decline by 666,000, which I suppose is good, but still remain historically very high at 10.4 million. That's unfilled job openings. Now, depending on how you count them, I would say there's a minimum of 6 million or so unemployed people compared to pre-pandemic level. So we've got more work to do. In today's JOLTS report, the quits rate hit a record high in August. So folks, they're still confident that they can get a better job someplace else. It's actually a sign of labor market strength and tightness. Now, as we read and hear constantly in the media, there are post-pandemic supply shortages everywhere, and apparently not enough people going to work to solve that problem. Long Beach and Los Angeles, the nation's biggest ports, apparently have enormous container ship backlogs, which is a big source of all the shortages. People tell me there aren't enough longshoremen to unload, or maybe they only work until 3 p.m. instead of 24/7. Look, I have no idea if that's really true. It's just what I hear. Because I can't figure out what's so hard about unloading a bunch of boxes off a ship that would fix all this stuff. But then I also hear there aren't enough truck drivers to cart the stuff away if they were unloaded. Now, I don't know if that's true either. It's just what I hear. But these jobs all pay, $100,000, $125,000, up to $150,000, $60,000. They're very attractive. So I don't know why there's a worker shortage, at least there. But it does create supply scarcities, which in turn drive up prices. I call it pandemic inflation, which is temporary. But I have no idea what temporary means anymore. And I'll say as a parenthetical, I am growing more worried about Fed-driven monetary inflation because they keep buying up bonds and creating excess money, maybe to finance all the government spending and borrowing. But whatever their motive, the danger here is that they're also underwriting these supply shock shortages and could easily turn temporary inflation into permanently higher and higher inflation. Anyway, my view, work is a virtue. The dignity of work is central to our whole social fabric. Folks who work hard climb the ladder of opportunity. Folks that live off government welfare entitlements have no opportunity. It's a dead end. I would say work is a godly virtue. It's how we serve our friends, our families, our employers, and our country. Something else I don't understand is why people aren't responding better to the rise in real wages. Now, I know inflation has jumped, but actually from the last employment report, average hourly earnings, in other words, wages, added to aggregate hours worked, well, that's up an incredible 11.6% annually over the past 3 months. It's a huge number, 11.6. People are getting paid a lot, and they're putting in plenty of hours. Now, the CPI for the 3 months to August, that's the latest we have, was 5.3% annually. It's not good, but it's still 6.3 percentage points less than the wage income proxy. So we have a big increase in real wages, and markets should work, and people should go back to work to take advantage of all this improved real compensation. Now, everybody thought the September jobs report from last Friday was a disaster. But as I argued, it wasn't. Wages up, private sector jobs up over 400,000. Household surveys showed a huge 526,000 jobs gain. Unemployment fell by about 730,000 people. And indeed, the unemployment rate dropped to 4.8%, which is really a good low number. So some good things are happening. Now, post-Trump tax cuts, pre-pandemic, it came down to 3.5%, but still, we're on the right track. The big miss in the September report had to do with erratic school openings, not the fundamentally important private sector. It's also important to recognize that in the last couple of weeks, as the $300 plus up in federal unemployment benefits expired in the 26 states, 7 million people fell off the continuing pandemic unemployment claims. 7 million. Now, I think most of them are going to go back to work at some point in the near-term future. or at least I hope they do. Actually, I'd love to talk to them individually to persuade them of the dignity and importance of work. Now, I've thrown a lot of numbers at you, but it's a tough subject and deserves some empirical work. The late Ed Lazier, perhaps America's finest labor economist and a mentor of mine, a great friend, he always taught that the employment to population ratio was the single best measure of the health of the labor market. Unfortunately, it still looks a bit soft. Before the pandemic, that ratio, that's employment population ratio, 61.1%. Today it's 58.7, still low. For the prime age employment ratio, that's people between 25 and 54 years of age, 80.4% pre-pandemic, 78% today. So we've got some work to do. And yes, I do think overly generous benefits, until they ran out this month, was a problem for worker participation. Conrad DeQuatros, a great Wall Street economist, he tells me the latest Fed Consumer Finance Survey shows that lower income folks have a $400 billion total of excess savings. Some of this from pandemic-related benefits and some other factors. So maybe that gives that group a bit of a cushion, and maybe they'll be a little slower to take a job and stay home a little longer. I hope not, but maybe they will. Now, if the Biden administration succeeds in layering on $4 to $5 trillion in additional entitlements and welfare without any workfare or education requirements, then this big government European-style socialism will in fact provide incentives not to work. This would be bad. It would do great harm to the workforce, to their families, and to the whole economy. And if you add to that massive tax penalties on successful earners and businesses, then you have a nasty witch's brew that will undermine our free enterprise economy and weaken us at home as well as abroad. So that's why I say save America, kill the bill. But I also say let's put America back to work. So that's my riff tonight.